Hello everybody and welcome back to the world's premier peacetime construction simulator, Hearts of Iron 4. Apparently that's what this is now. We're just cruising on forward here and we're going to finish up a bunch of construction here. So our construction factories, our consumer good factories are finishing up. And our primary hurdle at this point is constructing a bunch of these supply hubs. But those are going to be done quite soon. And then we're going to be working on railroads. And those are going to be done incredibly quickly. And then we have a bunch of infrastructure. Now, how long does infrastructure take to build per level? I don't actually know. That's 6,000? Okay. So 6,000 construction points for an infrastructure compared to... It's a little cheaper than a civilian factory. It's like a third as much as a supply hub. So a supply hub takes 6 months. So we should expect each level of infrastructure to take 2 months. That's not too bad. Realistically. That's not bad at all. So we do want to start working on our actual Navy setup at some point. What do we have here? We don't have everything that we need. That's for sure. Indeed. But we can take one of these like light cruisers and move that out over here. In fact, that kind of moved a light cruiser, 4 destroyers, and 8 submarines. But what I want this to be is I want to add in battleships. And I want to add in carriers. I don't think we have battle cruisers here. We've got light cruisers. We've got... And these should auto-populate. We've got battleships and carriers. So we're going to run, like... For each of these navies, ideally, I'd like to run 2 carriers, 4 battleships, 8 light cruisers, 16 destroyers, and 32 submarines. That's kind of insane. I'm not going to lie. We'll get that started, and we'll let that chill for the moment. So that'll be fine. As far as the carriers go, we're going to need to get fighters for them, of course. And we're not currently producing any of our air assets at this moment. That will change. So that's good to note. And how are we doing over here? We have finished up on all of our consumer goods factories. I keep saying that. On all of our civilian factories. Those have all finished up. So this is all civilian factory being put into construction. I suppose we could build one on Easter Island, but that's not our territory. So we'll get rid of that. Cool. So we're going to be finishing this up quite soon. And if we close this, it'll tick forward a lot faster. So we'll just pop back in and check on that periodically. Our modern tank brigade goes into our reserves. Cool. And once we have all of our infrastructure done, that will be a very, very big deal. Because that will increase our, well, everything. That'll increase everything that we've got. So, checking in on how far down the railways we're getting right now, the answer is quite a ways. Maybe about a third or a quarter. That's not bad. We're going to be done constructing our various... I keep wanting to call it infrastructure, but it's not. Like, this is infrastructure. This is supply infrastructure. It's awkwardly similar in terms of nomenclature. But we're going to want to start working on our supplies elsewhere pretty soon. There's no doubt about that. I want to check up here. Yeah, both of those have naval bases. Noted. To be honest, we can probably supply these just from these naval bases. So I'm going to go through and start queuing up full naval bases in these various locations. But this is bottom tier, right? Absolute bottom tier in terms of priority. So we're going to get these... I think that's in the wrong spot. Where are you? No, that is here, I think. It's awkwardly positioned. But we can do something kind of like this. It's definitely still laggy to have the construction screen open, which is deeply unfortunate. I was holding shift, but apparently that didn't count. So we'll just get all of this queued up for the moment. I'm not going to do too much more beyond that. Okay. Infantry division hops in over here into the reserves. Beautiful. Okay, we're building almost entirely railroad at this point. And we're about halfway down the railroad. So the railroad is going to finish up very quickly, right? There's no doubt about that. And then we're going to work on infrastructure. Once the infrastructure is done, things should get a lot better. So let's just double check what infrastructure does. It increases supply power in strategic regions and increases our division speed, as well as increasing our raw resource extraction. So yeah, that should be very, very good. Beautiful. This infantry division will hop into our reserves. And this is looking absolutely phenomenal. I'm seeing no problems whatsoever as of right now. We can continue to develop the Alaska chromium deposits, apparently infinitely. And we probably don't need to. Like, we have spare 1,000 chromium right now. So that's probably not a thing that we need to do. We're making a lot of ships, and we probably want to increase our production on these guys, particularly submarines. But I think we add in an extra production line, and we don't have enough dockyards to do all of this right now. But I think we add in an extra production line of cruisers, of destroyers, and of submarines. Not necessarily in that order. Submarines moved up, like so. Actually, even above the convoy. So something like this, and then we'll just toss all of the dockyards that we can at that. Beautiful. We have actually four production lines working on battleships, and 2 working on carriers. I think that's acceptable. Yeah, I think this will do. Beautiful. So we'll get that all underway. We do need to sort these guys into our reserves. There we go. And let's check in real quick here on our constructions. So we can see that our railway constructions are very nearly complete, and we are hammering away at the logistics. Or not logistics, the infrastructure. I keep doing that. I keep conflating infrastructure and supply for whatever reason. I have no idea why that's happening, but sure. I guess that's something we can do. I really don't want to continue to develop the Alaska chromium deposits. We can, however, expand the iron ore mines in Quebec, and I believe that that's not repeatable. I have no idea why this one is repeatable. That might be a bug. At any rate, we have enough chromium, so we don't want to do that and expend the factories. That's not something that we want to do at this moment. We have all the technologies researched. That's great. And we're very, very close now to being done with all of our railways. I love it. And we're just hammering away at that infrastructure. That'll be done quite soon. So our next step is very likely to get our naval dockyards leveled up. The question is, when do we want to do that? The answer is probably pretty soon. Probably. We're going to have a lot of them along this coastline. We have rather a lot of coast. It's kind of extensive. No doubt about that. So that's probably going to be our next construction job, is my guess. And then once we're done with that, we can work on our supplies in all of the other locations. But there's a lot of logistics and, I keep saying that, a lot of infrastructure and a lot of naval bases that still need construction. And we are speeding up in this panel, actually. Things are improving. We're not at full speed yet, but we're getting there. We're at about half speed with the panel open now, as opposed to like a 20th of the speed that we were at an episode or 2 ago. So that's absolutely great. As we work through that queue, that will improve. So I think we'll check in on that on like a monthly basis. So we're going to have the first of the month here in just a moment. And we'll check in on our construction and see how that's going. Beautiful. So, yeah, there's still a lot of infrastructure to be built here. No doubt about that. We should probably move up the priority list some of this infrastructure over here, which apparently got put at the bottom. This is not within our territory, so we can get rid of that for the moment. Same with everything over here. This is within our vassals. So we'll get rid of all of that, and that's no big deal. Cool. And that's all fine. I'm going to come back up here, actually, to here. And we're going to start moving all of these dockyards. We should do that from the top of them. We're going to start moving these naval bases. Technically, these are. We're going to move these to the bottom of the list. They are bottom tier priority. So we'll get that moved down. Fantastic. It is definitely a higher priority to get these military factories done. So then that should be nothing but naval bases down here. Unfortunately, there is some infrastructure here. Quite a lot of it, I might add. So we're going to move all that up. They are not ready yet. Get out of here, Nova Scotia. Okay. So we're going to move all of this up. That's going to be quite a lot of infrastructure needing to be built. But it needs to happen at some point. So that's going to be the infrastructure over our entire empire, right? And then this is all naval bases down here. Beautiful. So there's a lot of infrastructure being worked on. No doubt about that. Okay, the Modern Tank Brigade will hop in here. Now, we were in there for basically the entire month there, so we are not going to check in on it this month. We'll check in on it next month. Cool. There we go. It's all looking good. If we go into infrastructure map mode, we can actually watch the infrastructure be built. We can see that we need quite a lot of infrastructure, but it has been built in quite a lot of locations. But we definitely need more. I just want to check, as long as we're here, that our infrastructure is queued up everywhere, and it appears to be. Perfect. Okay, so once this is all level 5 infrastructure everywhere, we know that we're moving on to naval bases. So this is kind of where we're going to be sitting for a bit here. I haven't actually seen... Oh, I think I saw a change over here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. So we have a lot of infrastructure being built simultaneously, right? It's going to take a while to get it all built. There's a lot queued up here. But once it's done, it's done. And we'll only have to build infrastructure in new conquests. But that's honestly a very small part of the world. So it should be absolutely fine on that front. No problem whatsoever there. Let's check in on our navy here real quick. How are we doing? We should definitely have an admiral here. We have most of our subs. We are lacking some destroyers. We have some light cruisers. We have no battleships or carriers at this time. And there are currently no ships in our reserves. Noted. Okay, back to infrastructure map mode, and are things looking improved? The answer to that is a definite maybe. I like how we prioritized infrastructure in Greenland. That's just, you know, top tier priorities there. I love it. Let's check in here and we can see, yeah, there's definitely some progress being made. So we're currently working simultaneously on, what would you call that? Maybe 5% of what's queued up at a time. That's actually a little bit better than I thought it would be. I'd call that somewhere around 5% probably. So if it's going to take us how long? Well, 2 months to get through each one of these levels. On average, we have, I would say, probably 3. So probably 6 months per level. So 6 months per 5%. What's 6 times 20? I'm really bad at this mental math, but it's 120, obviously. Why would I even fire up a calculator? I don't need that. It's just 6 times 10 times 2. That's not difficult. So that's 120 months, which is 10 years on average. Ooh, that was some changes over here, for sure. I like it. So something like 10 years to work our way through our current queue. That's very back of the envelope calculations. We should not expect that to be super accurate, but that's just like a basis for planning purposes. Okay. There were a lot of assumptions that went into that calculation. One assumption was that naval bases take the same amount of time to construct as infrastructure. They don't. They take half as long. The other assumption is that... Oh, wow, look at that finishing up over there. That's actually super satisfying to see those pop in. Oh, that's really satisfying. Okay, that's neat. I like that. The other major assumption was that everything will require 3 levels of, on average, 3 levels of infrastructure, which is also untrue. The naval bases will not take as long, but they have more levels. Like, they don't take as long per level, but they absolutely have more levels. So we're seeing North America's development come along very nicely, and there's some areas of Africa that are very well developed, and others that are not at all. Infrastructure 1 in a lot of these locations. But North America appears to be, by and large, on top of the queue, which is fine. We'll let that finish up. I don't believe infrastructure currently gives us additional factories. No. I just wanted to double check that. But that is definitely not the current case. Okay, so we've got these infantry divisions. They definitely go into the reserves. And things are just a little slow right now, but that's fine. We are cruising our way through this, and we're seeing infrastructure pop in Africa as well. Oh, I just saw some in Europe. So across the board, infrastructure is coming along. That's great. It's currently June of 1958. We don't really care about the time, for the record. And I want to see... This is a slight slowdown, having this open still. Okay, so we are now working on, I'd call that maybe around 6 or 7%. It's slightly more, but that's to be expected as we finish up some areas. So that's really, really good. I'm very pleased with this progress thus far. I may allow this to run off camera for a while because I feel like this is just absolutely riveting content, right? It's just so thrilling to watch this infrastructure slowly get built. But it is important. It does need to happen. So we'll let that tick on through. And how many additional shipyards are we going to need? That's actually an important question that we should ask right now. How many shipyards and how many military factories do we need to get everything we have here currently set up online? The answer is 4 plus 9 plus 9 plus 4. So 8 plus 18 is 24. We need 24 additional dockyards. Let's go ahead and queue up some dockyards. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay, so there's, in theory, all of the dockyards that we need. Next, I want to pop down to our military factories, and I want to get these actually prioritized. So we'll get those underway, and how many do we have actually queued up here? Well, we can see we've got like 39 right here, 48, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56 queued up right now. So, how many do we actually need? Well, we can always toss more at some of these problems. But there's 15 here, 2 here. So that's 17. Plus, we need 18. So, plus 45, that's 50. So, we need like 68. Okay, let's just let this get going. And we'll finish this up fairly swiftly here. These dockyards are going to be done actually quite soon. So we'll get our production underway. That'll be fine. And that'll make sure that we have all of the production that we need during this waiting period. right? So that way we're at least building up supplies of all of our equipment. So that'll be absolutely fine. We will be finishing these eventually. These ones that have 19 queued up, those are going to take some time. Actually, those are right on the border with Ming, awkwardly enough. But that's a lot of factories. That's a whole lot of factories here. Huh. Very interesting. For the time being, we're not too concerned about it, though. We are watching the world tension dip on down. That's okay. We completely don't care about that. Completely and totally. Let's hop back into the infrastructure map mode here. I'm not expecting major changes here while we are working on all of this. The dockyards will all be finished, honestly, within a month or two. This is how much? 6,400. Yeah, it's going to be about 2.5 months, I think. So, like, on the 1st of September and then October, November, by the time November rolls around, I'm kind of expecting all of those to be done or very, very close to it. And then we'll be back to infrastructure creation. So that will be absolutely great. It's currently 3 September. And yep, we're definitely seeing infrastructure being created up here now. So we are working on all of the naval shipyards, dockyards, I should say, simultaneously. And we nearly have our infrastructure in North America completed. So that's absolutely great. There's a lot of work to be done yet, but we're making good progress. I like how there's some very specific regions of Africa that are very well developed and other regions that are just completely ignored right next to them. That's okay. We'll get there. We will definitely get there. So checking in on this, yep, our dockyards are actually close to completion here. And our infrastructure in North America is very close to done. So that's absolutely perfect. There we go. I believe our North American infrastructure, depending on where you draw the line down here for North America, is functionally done at this point. That's very good. Very, very good. I don't know if we're going to start making our way down here and developing South America next, or if some of this stuff is next in the queue. It doesn't really matter which we do, because it's all going to get built. Excellent. So it's currently 19 October, and this will be done on 29 October. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now we're going to be working on these military factories for a while. But that's okay. It's only 3 building slots. That's only using up 45 factories. So we've got time. We'll be working on our infrastructure pretty heavily while simultaneously working on our military factories. So that's great. We'll probably have some spare military factories here. But we're definitely working our way through that. And yeah, we're lacking 1 dockyard at this moment for our convoy construction. I think that's okay. Even if... yeah, I guess I counted wrong. But it's fine. I don't care. We can be at 4 for convoys. That's completely fine. Whatever. Not concerned about that at all. We're definitely working our way through the infrastructure here. There's no doubt about that. So it looks like we're making our way down into South America. Noted. It is currently November. Let's check in on the construction of our military factories. Sure. Those are going to take a while to finish up. So we expect all constructions here will be complete in about 600 days and then 171 days. So like a year and 3/4 or so until our military factories are done. That's completely fine. It's going to be a lot of progress made on our infrastructure in that time, so I'm completely fine with it. I do think I'm probably going to let this run for a while off camera, because I'm not really planning on going to war for a little while. I'd like to get all of this built up at some point. The question is, how far am I willing to run it off camera? Well, until something happens, if something happens, but I don't think anything will, to be honest. Until something happens, or until we are like most of the way through this construction queue, I think, and I'll probably queue up these naval bases off camera as well. The extra naval bases that I talked about. So I think that'll be the plan here. It is about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, when we come back, we'll have most of this construction queue, at least, worked through. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, ALS Gamer, Kentuin, James, Shadow Wolf, MLohan80, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Unisil, Kadra, Rogue Corvid, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time. I'm just going to make a save here, just in case, and then I will make another save once I'm done running the clock forward. Perfect. See you all next time.